Hey friends, Taylor here from So Moda Tea, and you are watching Herb Talk, however you want to say it. And we're starting, because it's December, our winter herb series. So I'm going to be talking about herbs associated with winter. And the first one we're going to be talking about, since it is December and we have lovely holidays like Christmas and Yule and Saturnalia coming up, I am going to be talking about pine. Fir trees. Fir, for those of you who don't know, is the English base to the word fir actually comes from Norse. The Norse Vikings, the people with the swords and the horned helmets. They didn't actually have horned helmets. But the term fir is from the Old Norse word fjör. See how that worked? Fjör turned into fir. And fir trees are prevalent throughout the entire northern hemisphere of the world. They're not very common in the southern hemisphere. Not naturally. They didn't occur naturally down there. Obviously, people bring things outside, but they're native to the northern hemisphere of our delightful planet. So, of course, given that, they have found their way into our culture, into our medicine, into our folklore, all sorts of things. Pine trees, fir trees, they can grow from just a couple of feet off the ground, shrubs, to hundreds of feet high. We're talking about, you go to the redwood forest, those are pine trees. Those are types of fir trees. And they can range in age. They're very long growth trees. The oldest one currently around is just over 4,000 years old, and it's called Methuselah. The name is taken, obviously, from the biblical character Methuselah, the oldest living man. But prior to that, before humans destroyed it and cut it down, was Prometheus, another pine tree, which was almost 5,000 years old. That tree took roots at the dawn of human civilization. Like the beginning of the Roman Empire, that tree sprouted roots. That's just insane to me. An insanely long tree, and we humans, of course, destroyed it. But just think of all the rings in that wood. You wouldn't even be able to see it. It's incredible. But pine, like I said, is part of folk medicine. Native American tribes throughout the U.S., tribes in the north, the Vikings, all kinds of peoples have used it for medicinal. If you use it in a bath, you can use it to ease your joints, helps with joint pain and inflammation. So it's good if you have arthritis and stuff like that. You don't want to use a ton in your bath, but a nice bath, with some diffused pine needles in there, it'd be really good for your joints. It's also a good, increases circulation, blood flow. If you drink it in a tea, it'll increase circulation and blood flow. It increases your ability to think, which I think I need to, eat some pine right now, because my brain, I'm doing a video, and I'm a professional, and I do videos all the time and talk on radio all the time. You'd think I'd be less nervous, but still staring at my face in the camera gets me. Anyway, it helps calm you down. It's a de-stressor. It's used for all sorts of things. We have so many different varieties of pine, and most of it's edible. The needles, like I said, can be brewed into a tea. You can make baked goods with it. You can eat the white meat inside of the pine. Certain pine plants, some of them are toxic, but you can eat the white meat inside the pine. Obviously, pine nuts, they're used in pesto. So if you have a nut allergy, don't eat those. But a lot of people eat pine, but you should be careful. Too much of a good thing, like anything else, can have adverse consequences. Now, obviously, you don't want to harvest right from the road for, obvious reasons, the fuel exhaust and all those extra contaminants and stuff. You could probably hear the road in the background, but I'm quite a bit of a ways off. So what you want to do is you want to find the ones that are, off the ground, not the low-lying branches or anything like that, because animals can, do their business and everything on it. And then you just want to grab it, you know, smell it, have some time with it. A lot of people do have pine allergies, so you do want to make sure that you're not allergic to it first. One of the best ways of doing that is just like taking a little bit of it right here, crushing it between your fingers, you know, just to get some of the oils out, and then finding a soft spot of skin that's exposed, like underneath the wrist, and just dabbing it on the wrist. And then just wait for about a minute or two to make sure that you don't have any kind of hives or anything like that, just to make sure. Now, I happen to know already that I'm not allergic to it, so I know I'm not going to have any sort of adverse reaction to it. So what I like to do is, you know, taste it, because, you know, different trees have different flavors. So, you know, you're going to find one that works best with whatever you're going to cook, whether it be a tea or a treat of some sort. Go ahead and bite into it. See if you like it. This one's kind of like, in all honesty, it's more aromatic than it is flavorful. But still, it tastes a lot like lemon and lime, almost like a combination, like Sprite. Tastes like Sprite with like a hint of nuttiness on the finish. So this one I think would be really good for like a shortbread, like a lemon shortbread kind of cookie. I think that would go really well, actually. And you can add a little bit of lemon juice and stuff to, like, you know, draw out the inherent citrus flavor that's already there. And I think the nuttiness at the end kind of has like a nice balance to it. So that's what I think I'm going to do with this one. I think I'm going to do some shortbread cookies. So fir trees aren't just used in herbal medicine, they're also used in a lot of magical practices as well. Like I said early on in the video, Yule is coming up, Saturnalia is coming up. Pine trees, fir trees are actually associated with Saturn, so it makes sense that they'd be part of Saturnalia. Christmas, obviously, the Christmas tree, the wreaths, but all that actually has meaning. It's not just pretty decoration. Pine is a good cleanser. It gets rid of negative energies, evil spirits, and stuff. So the whole tradition of putting a wreath on your front door wasn't just because it looks nice. Wreaths were made out of pine traditionally, and they were hung on the door because they would keep away evil spirits. A lot like when the plagues of Egypt, Moses, from that story, when they put the lamb's blood, sheep's blood on the door to tell the spirits to move on to the next house and protect their firstborn. Pine worked very similar way. You hung it on your door during the solstice, and it provided protection against dark and evil spirits. You could also burn pine. The Yule log is a perfect example. The traditional Yule log is pine. So they would burn that, and the smoke would actually force out evil spirits as well, and protect your house. People took pine because it's an evergreen indoors during the winter. So like the tradition of the Christmas tree, that it actually started in like Old Norse culture. They brought in a fir tree during the winter to symbolize that, you know, the returning of the light, the returning of the sun will come back. That's why they put ornaments and lights and stuff on the tree, flame on the tree, because it was the returning of the sunlight. Up in the northern part of the world, they don't have much sun for much of the year. So a lot of the months are dark months, especially around December during the solstice, darkest time of the year. So they needed these symbols to, you know, remind them that this will pass, it'll come back. They used it a lot of, even today, in a lot of pagan cultures, people use it to, you know, like a broom, to brush the evil spirits and cleanse the negative energy out. It's used in incense, all sorts of things. But anyway, that's this week's video on pine fir trees. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to be talking about another winter herb, lavender. Yes, believe it or not, lavender is an herb that is associated with winter. If you would like the recipe for these delicious pine shortbread cookies that I baked, I told you I was going to, it is available in the link in the description down there, and you can download it and you can make it yourself. They're actually not bad. They don't have a whole lot of flavor. It's more aromatic. You can more or less smell it than you can taste it, but it adds a little bit of like a citrusy hint to it. So if you want that recipe, it is going to be available in the description below. And it pairs perfectly with our delicious forbidden fruit tea. It's got apple in it. The apple and the citrus, they go great together. But anyway, stay tuned for next week's episode on lavender. Bye.